How is it going, everyone? It's Johnny Beard here with an episode of the Streamer Stories podcast. Not just any episode, it's the season finale, and I couldn't think of a better guest to have than Ash. It's Ash Millman. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi! Thank you so much for having me. Hello.
How are you? You doing well?
I'm good, yeah. I've just had a really big pizza, so I'm doing extra well, I think, to be honest.
What? What pizza do you have?
I had a Papa John's, and I only had a Papa John's, right? I'd usually be a Domino's girly, but I had a Papa John's because I really was craving Pepsi Max. So I was like, I need to go. Need to go where the brands lie.
Oh,
So
nice.
I went there.
Oh, I get you. In North Wales, where I live, there's not many pizza joints here. We got a Pizza Hut and we got a Domino's. But if I
Yeah.
want Coca-Cola vanilla, no, Pepsi vanilla, they do
Ooh,
it there, but they don't do it in
yeah.
Domino's. So yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
Yeah, so you got to pick the right one,
Yeah.
right? There you go. You got to go with the drink, whether it's like a pairing. It's like wine pairing, but with pizza and pop drinks, isn't it? So.
Right? Yeah. There needs to be more talk about this, but this is not the podcast for it. That's it. We're going to do a side podcast, pizza podcast. Let's go. No. Ash, thanks so much for being on the podcast. I'm so thrilled to have you, and I can't wait to chat with you for the next hour. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Genuinely, I'm gassed to talk games. I'm excited. Thank you for having me on.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Okay, so I know who you are, and I know a lot of people will do as well. But just for those who don't know, would you like to introduce yourself? And again, in terms of streaming as well, what type of content do you look at doing?
So, my name is Ash Millman. I've previously worked for YouTube companies like What Culture and PlayStation Access, and I have recently taken the plunge into doing my own thing. But my niche has always been in horror, and as a streamer, I am a horror streamer. Those are the games that I focus on, and the films that I like watching, and the content I like making. So, I would say that's my area of expertise. If I have one, but yeah, that would be my starting point. And I started streaming last year, around this time last year actually. I had to take a little break because work with everything else got so busy, which is why I've also left all my jobs now and focusing on streaming full time, as well as just myself and content creation and stroking my cat a lot. So at the moment it's mostly the cat and chilling out, and then I'll be back streaming a bit later in a month or so. So that's exciting.
That is very, very exciting. And I mean, yeah, like you said, cat and then everything else, definitely. I'm a
Yeah.
cat person as well, so yes.
Hell
I've seen
yes.
pictures of your cat on Instagram. It's amazing. Yes, lovely.
Yeah.
Yay. So I'm so thrilled to have you. I said this off stream as well. Been following you for a while, but not in that way. I apologize.
Yes.
But yeah, big fan of what you do. Again, with everything horror related, it's just, yeah. You put yourself down there in that respect. You are the queen of horror. Let's be honest.
Oh,
You are
well.
amazing. You know your stuff. That's for sure.
Oh man, I hope I know things now. If you ask me any questions, I'm gonna, oh no, oh no.
Oh well, let's test. No, let's talk about childhood. I mean, did you play games? Did you play games growing up? And if so, what's your origin story, Ash? What's your origin story?
So my starting with this is I always tell this in a similar way, in that it was my dad that got me into it, and I always grew up around games because of my dad, and he loves this because I'm always like, it was my dad, who's the gamer. So I've got to give him his shout out again there. But yeah, I grew up around games because my dad was a massive gamer. He had a PlayStation 2, and he grew up on games and board games. He's a massive Dungeons and Dragons nerd, and basically, because I'm an only child as well, like our way of hanging out was playing games, playing fantasy games, playing board games, and taking it in turns on the PlayStation, or playing through single player games together and just passing the pad on different sections and stuff. So I had a great gaming childhood, 100%. And like my dad has tried endlessly to get my mom into them, but she's just not a gamer girly. She doesn't like it. She's not a fan. Her favorite two games are Mickey's Castle of Illusion. That was one that he managed to get us to play.
The two player.
I have no idea,
No,
but
it's an
she
amazing
loves
game.
it.
Yes.
I haven't tried it yet. I probably should, since it's the one of my mom's two games.
Oh.
But the other one was Medieval, the classic Medieval. She loved that as well. So
Nice.
she's
Oh.
got good taste.
Yeah, clearly, yeah, absolutely, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I love. I still maintain that's one of the best two-player co-op games ever made.
You know what?
love
I
that.
didn't know it was two player. I've never actually played it, as much as I know my parents' lore with it. I haven't played Mickey's Castle of Illusion.
So there's Mickey's well, there's two. There's Mickey's Castle of Illusion, which is a single player, and then there's Mickey and Donald Duck's World of Illusion. So
Ooh.
actually, I'm not sure now. Now that you mention it, but yeah, the latter, I love that. Yeah.
There's illusions either way, so
Yes.
sounds good to me. The series of illusion.
Indeed. So those are your earliest memories in terms of like watching it, and you usually get the control pad as well. So PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 of Medieval as well, I'd imagine as well. So
Yeah, the stuff I remember was when I remember first encountering a PlayStation original at like my cousin's house and playing there because I had a cousin the same sort of age, so that was the other thing. Never really played games on my own for a while, like to begin with, because I could never get on the damn thing myself. But then as I grew up, I managed to get my allotted PlayStation time. But playing like Simpsons Hit and Run and all that sort of thing was a core part of me being like a tween, and about when I was 10 or whenever that came out, just after. I was 7 when it came out, so a bit later than that. But yes, Simpsons Hit and Run, and then originally like Scooby Doo and the Cyber Chase, that PS1 game, and Spyro the Dragon, I think were my all-timers. I also had a Game Boy Advance, and then had a DS.
Nice.
And the Game Boy, like I still have all the games that I played on Game Boy and my DS, and Game Boy was the little Crash XS, tiny one.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? Fear Factor, the game, because I loved watching Fear Factor.
Oh, nice. Yeah, these are banging titles.
Yeah, Fear Factor, the game is it's something. That's all I've got to review that one. It's something. But when I was younger, making someone eat worms and managing their sick meter, loved it.
Yeah, I can see the origin story right now. But I mean, yeah, people don't talk about Fear Factor anymore. It seems to have been a forgotten cult classic. Really, it's a shame. Like there was talk. I think there was talk about it getting remade, but I don't know. I think it's gone into like development hell or something. I don't know. But
it would be so hard to do it again now, though, because like it was literally like torturing people. It was like the worst version of I'm a Celebrity, where it was, will you eat a human turd? Like it was so good. I used to love it. Any MTV show I was all over growing up, because I used to just watch music channels, and then that was where like I got all of like my Grebo music taste from, was watching Scuzz and Kerrang relentlessly. But MTV would be the other one, just for the reality TV shows, which are always amazing to me, and I still watch them. I still love Geordie Shore and all that sort of thing as well. You can take the cheesy reality tea away from me, I'll find it somewhere, I'll get back to it.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh yeah, I love Kerrang and Scuzz. I do miss music video days, man. I do. Like,
yes.
You had to either phone up. I used to miss like the top 10 Kerrang, like again every week. It used to be like Tenacious D tribute every single week was number one. It's like, oh
yes,
wow, yeah. And used to get
as it should be.
Yeah, exactly, right. And people used to phone in with their bad cover version. Oh man, good times. But
I actually used to make Fear Factors in the garden as well. I'll tell you that one. I used I used to get my cousins my cousin Jonathan was the one I used to play games with, and he had two sisters who were 10 years older. So we would go in the garden, make Fear Factor, and then make those two go through it, which they obviously hated. But it was like we would find loads of leaves and like the little catkin seeds and soak them in like dirty puddle water, and then hang them off a washing line, and then make them put a blindfold on and walk through it. And be like, beware the guts. And we used to find like spider webs and other like nasty mucky things, and like put like a prize in it, like a coin or something, and try and get them to get it out. That was probably the inception of quite a few horrible things that I've inflicted on people over the years. But
yeah,
I shouldn't have admitted this one. I haven't spoken about that one before. I was reminiscing on it the other day and was like, oh yeah, I forgot I used to do that.
I can cut that out. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, it's mine now. Got Ash Millman exclusive. No, I was going to say actually, like if you ever find your way around it in terms of like I'm a Celebrity, I mean, you'd be fine. You'd be absolutely fine. It's based on what you've just been saying.
Eating stuff is what I wouldn't be able to do. I like making other people eat weird things, but I don't think I could eat like. I don't think I could do it. I'm very good at inflicting these things on people.
That's a very different type of influencer, if you ask me. Go on.
Go on, have a bite.
Oh my god. Wow, but I mean, you mentioned some amazing titles there. I guess with PlayStation One, PlayStation Two, Game Boy, Advanced DS games as well. So that was your first Crash Bandicoot game? Was on the I think it was Game Boy Advance, if I'm not mistaken. Have you played like the remasters of Crash Bandicoot? Is that something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I played the PS1 version I did play, but it was that the Game Boy Advance one, the XS one, was I played that over and over and over again. All the games I had on my Game Boy Advance, I just played relentlessly.
Mm.
And that was one of them where I'd finish it and then go through again. And then I went back to it on PlayStation. I found it really hard. I was like, I know how to do it on Game Boy Advance. And then playing
Interesting.
the remasters was, I found those really hard as well. Playing Crash 4 and then I went back to the Insane trilogy after Crash 4. And I think it just burnt me out. I was like, this is too hard. Everything's too hard. I can't platform. There's
Oh
nothing
God.
left for me.
Crash 4 is so hard.
Yes, it's brutal, isn't it?
I don't know why they made it so hard.
Yeah. Oh my God. Rosie from Access is intent on getting the platinum for it at some point.
Oh yeah,
And I take my hat off to her because,
yeah. Gonna give a shout out to my buddy Gotham Beauty. He's platinumed it.
whoa.
It's one of his like proudest things.
Yeah.
He mentions it once in a while to me. He's like, yeah, right, yeah, cool.
I would
I've
say
not
it
beat
every
yet.
day
Yeah.
to everyone I know. I'd be like, hello, it's me, Platinum of Crash 4. See ya. Goodbye. That's all I had to say.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's definitely something I need to do at some point. I've platinumed the trilogy, and in
Yeah.
fact, I got the so on Platinum Crash Bandicoot One, they did like technically a DLC of like the level that was too hard that they didn't put it in the original game. They put it back in
Yeah.
as DLC for the remaster, and I beat that, and I got like a platinum relic on it and all that. No, I got a gold relic. I didn't get a platinum.
Oh
But
God,
yeah,
that's so brutal.
yeah.
Like that you've done 1 to 3 is already impressive though. That means you've got it. You've got what it takes to do 4.
I
You've
think
just
I've
got
got
to
it. Yeah,
go for it. You've got to
yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, no, hopefully one day, soon, I'll conquer it. Yeah, and Spyro win again. Wow, amazing games as well.
El
So
Clasico, innit?
yeah. So did you play the trilogy? Did you play one or the other? Did you like?
Spyro the Dragon 3 was my favourite, the one with the skateboard.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I love the skateboard levels. But I played the trilogy, but it was the third one that made the biggest impression on me and that I played the most. And I also fancied Hunter a little bit. That
Yeah.
was that was big skater cat man did it for me apparently.
Yeah. I liked a little bit of Bianca by myself, especially when she took the cape off like halfway through the game. It's like, oh, hello.
She's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so a lot of console stuff, a lot of like handheld stuff. Did PC gaming come into it at all? Was that not something that happened?
No, I've never been a PC gamer really. I've used it to play Tabletop Simulator in lockdown, and that's basically it. I have a few games on my Steam account. I'm leaning more into it now, like that I've kind of moved away from a full-time job. I now that I'm doing it for myself, I'm like, oh, I can get into all of the horror demos and the stuff that's only available on Steam. So I'm trying out a few things at the moment, but growing up, PC was way too complicated and expensive. It was a bit prohibitive. Like I could only really get into the games that I did, and was so fortunate with having a gaming hobby because my dad was into it, so we could split our birthday money if we really wanted something, or ask for something for like Christmas or whatever together. And kind of because it was the two of us, it made sense to get all these sort of things. But PC, no way. I find it too complicated. There's too many settings and factors to deal with. One of my best friends growing up was PC gamer and big into PC gaming. So we'd go over his house and play Half-Life 2 and see who could defeat the most head crabs with a crowbar in Ravenholm. That was like our challenge. And play VR and stuff at his house. That was always good.
Nice. That's wholesome what you mentioned with your dad, though, about splitting money and stuff like that. That's really cool. I love that. Yeah.
We were well into it. I remember the X-Men PS2 game, I think it was. We used to play through that, and then we'd all decide on, like, I think we got that one together, and then we'd all decide which character we would control. So every time someone joined the X-Men team, we'd be like, that one's mine, and split them all up, and then go through it that way as well. So we really did proper down the middle everything.
Oh, that's so nice. I love that. Okay, you mentioned some stories growing up about video game stuff like that, but I mean, like, is there anything else that you can think of in terms of like funny stories about games you played, or anything maybe to do with your dad or whatever?
I think probably the one that comes to mind is I've always been too scared to play Dead Space until playing the remake again on
Oh,
Steam.
okay.
And that was because I my dad got it, and he let me play it first. I went through this first bit, and it was running through literally the first bit where you run through all of the corridors and the necromorphs are busting out and the corpses can jump up and pretend to be dead and then get you. And I just fully noped out of it. I was like, no, yeah, you can control this bit, you can control this bit. And he played the whole game and I just watched him and he'd be like, do you want to go? And I'd be like, no, I'm fine. I can watch, but I
Yeah.
can't play. And that was my first experience of Dead Space. I was watching my dad go all the way through it and then kind of to come back to it last year, play through it myself, have no problem as well. I was
Yeah.
like, I've beaten some demons here, I've beaten some demons. I
Yes.
think the most egregious example I have for you actually, for my birthday, my dad got Dark Souls special edition. Like he balled out on a really fancy Dark Souls pack. I wasn't into hard games. I've never been into
Mm.
brutal difficulty Souls-like games. So he bought this one because he knew I wouldn't like it, and then
Okay.
he got to play it. And he was like, "Oh well, I guess I'll just give it a go." So he like purposefully bought it because he wanted to play it and knew that I would be put off by it. And that's always been a sticking point in our family is the Dark Souls birthday. But
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
yeah. Any time he talks about gaming with someone, he will say, "I finished Dark Souls though. I've completed it." Like that's his little bite. That's his Crash 4 plat. Is like,
Is
"I
it?
finished
Yeah.
Dark Souls though."
Yeah. I can't play them either. I can't. I tried. I tried. I just can't. Like Bloodborne's been the one that I really want to play Bloodborne because I love the gothic culture of this, and I'm like, I can't play it. It's not fair.
You've got to. Okay, I got over my Souls like fears with Bloodborne
Yeah.
100%. Like you've got to just smash your head off it until it works.
Yeah, yeah, I need to, don't I? I keep hoping as well because again, I don't have my PS4 much anymore, which I've got Crash 4 on. Crash 4 and Bloodborne are on that, and
Yeah.
I've moved away from that. I've got the Xbox Series S at the moment,
Mm.
but I need to get PS5. But until then, like my PS4 is redundant. So I've been
Yeah.
like, please release Bloodborne on PC, but they're not doing it at the moment. I'm like, no, please.
No, I keep seeing the like trending on Twitter being like Bloodborne whenever
Yes.
there's some sort of remake announced. Like, what about Bloodborne?
Yeah, it's got to be done. Hopefully. But yeah, okay. And Dead Space. I mean, yeah, I had my first Dead Space experience about 2 years ago on stream, and yeah, I
Yeah,
panicked the crap out. That wasn't the remake. That was the OG in
yeah. The OG's
2022.
scary.
Oh, it really
Yeah.
is. Yeah, I found Dead Space 1 OG really scary in 2022. I don't think it necessarily needed a remake. I mean, it's beautiful from what I've seen. Not played it yet, but it looks incredible. But I didn't know if it necessarily needed it because the first one still lived really nicely, I think, in 2022. And it was so scary. But then I played Dead Space 2 actually only a few months ago, and
Yeah.
because I played Dead Space 1 so recently, I didn't find it as scary as the first one.
Yeah.
Because the enemies are kind of similar. There's only a few new enemies, really, I felt. So I was
I
kind of
think
used
it's
to it.
kind of like Aliens kind of
Mm,
with Dead Space. Like the first one is so obviously there's tons of necromorphs, but the second one's like bigger scale, bigger action, bigger
yeah,
everything because it's on like that big ship where everyone lives on, isn't it? And they're all
yeah,
breaking out. It has the iconic eye laser though. That's
yeah,
scary.
yeah.
You can't forget the eye laser.
No, you can't forget the eye laser. I think you told me about the eye laser on one of your videos, Ash. So I was like, oh yeah, the eye. Okay, I remember
Time
this
to
bit.
play Dead Space 2.
Yes. But yeah. As I said, I only played that a few months ago, so yeah, I was like, I recognize this moment. But yeah, you're right though. You have like Aliens is very good comparison. That very good comparison. Okay. So you mentioned again playing games with like cousins and stuff like that. And you mentioned playing you mentioned playing Half-Life. But how much like online gaming did you play that on consoles? Much did you do much online stuff?
I'm just not, I don't like online games, not because they're bad, just I like narrative and story. I
Mm,
don't enjoy uh running around with a bunch of people in an environment and making like your story that way. I prefer someone leading me through a narrative adventure that's kind of carefully curated, that's got a story and meaning and lore. And you don't get that as much in online games. I like it when you can have like a co-op partner, like A Way Out and It Takes
Yeah.
Two, Prestige. I love those. But pure online, like your CODs, your Battlefronts, that sort of thing, is not for me. The only exception, the one exception, is Evolve. And I
Okay.
love Evolve. And I know people love to run their mouths about Evolve, but it truly is the best asymmetrical horror experience out there. Sorry, Dead by Daylight. Evolve walked so you could run. Love it.
Well, I still play Left 4 Dead 2. I'm a big Left 4 Dead guy.
Yes.
Our little online community still play it monthly. Just once a month we play it, and
Yeah.
I still, for me, that's like the OG. I played that on the Xbox 360 back in the day, and it's still, I just love playing Left 4 Dead 2.
Yes, Left 4 Dead is incredible. That was another one at my friend's house with his PC. He had Left 4 Dead there as well, and we would watch him play or join in and do different bits as well. So that was Left 4 Dead 2 definitely has a soft spot. I remember the witches being particularly one of gaming's biggest frights. Witch zombies.
Yes, definitely. Ugh, yeah.
Are they still as scary now?
No. No, they're just annoying now. No, it's a witch over there. Okay, you just got to be really quiet, everyone. No, you say after. Oh, God damn it, you ex-person.
She is.
But yeah, especially I think the first time encountering a witch. Oh yeah, nope. But yeah, no, not anymore. Okay, so in terms of game, again, you played a lot of games obviously over the years, different types of games. Is there any games that you've had like a bad experience with? Is like maybe the worst game you've played, but maybe it might have been like a bad experience or disappointing, underwhelming, or it was just downright buggy and not playable? Is there any not so good games?
Now, this is probably my least familiar point because I'm so used to talking about stuff that I love. Like that's always been kind of where I've dived into is things I really like. Um, I I'll tell you one that I don't think is the worst game I've ever played, but it was worst enjoyment that I got out of it.
Okay, yeah.
And I still catch flack for this now is Sekiro because it's not a bad game.
Yeah,
It's an
yeah.
incredible game and
Yes.
it's very well made, but it was when I was at the peak of my Souls like just really didn't enjoy the difficulty for difficulty's sake argument. And trying to play through that to be able to talk about it and cover it as well as just to like kind of put the feelers into that sort of game. I just had a horrible experience. I really didn't like it. And, you know, fair play to everyone that loves it and the Souls-like community who get through it and get enjoyment from that. For me, though, Sekiro and me are enemies.
Yeah.
We are not friends.
It's just interesting that if you don't mind me having a bit of a deviation here, but in terms of that, so again, you've had to do that obviously as part of your job with with both What Culture and also with PlayStation Access, haven't you? So like what's that like if you do? Because I've spoken to some journalists on the podcast before, you know, a shout out to Ellie Gibson, and she talks about Sonic 4. When Sonic the Hedgehog 4 came out, she covered it and she was like, I didn't think it was that good, and I got so much flack from the Sonic community. Like, has that happened with yourself? Is that something that comes up?
Oh, that was Sekiro, 100%.
Yeah.
I got memed. I got put into meme groups, like with my face being like, get good, which it's quite funny. That doesn't bother me now. Much worse has happened since then. But that was a big, oh no, I've said the wrong thing about a game that loads of people like. But again, I've always focused on finding the things I really enjoy. I've caught a lot of heat for horror movie takes, but I really don't mind that either because I think if you're saying your authentic opinion, it doesn't really matter what other people's takes are on it. They can disagree with you, they can agree with you, as long as people keep it respectful. It bothers me when they're not respectful, when they're like, die because you don't like this, you know what I mean? That's when it's not cool. But I don't really mind when there's a healthy discourse around something that everyone has different opinions on.
I mean, I suppose that is the one thing that's really good about horror movies, especially, is the fact that most horror movies are critically panned, like from the get-go anyway, aren't they? So every horror fan, I think, tends to always have this, like, it's like being a metal fan, isn't it? You always have this, like, this hidden, like, shield of, well, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I always say, like, when games come out and when game reviews come out for horror games, if they get like maybe not as good a score as expected, or my opinion is vastly more positive than what the general consensus is, I always think these people aren't horror fans. They haven't reviewed it like as a horror fan. Maybe they have. That's a really sweeping statement. But like, I think Alone in the Dark is probably my example at the moment, where I think it's had a few scathing reviews, and to me, the horror scale is so much different to the average game or the average film. Like, it's lower. Like, there's so many horror games and there's so many different things that tie in there. Horror fans love a good story. They like a bit of jank. Sometimes they can forgive a lot of jank, I should say, as long as it aids in atmosphere or there's fun things they can pull from it. There's so many silly things that are part of that community, as well as walking the line between comedy and horror that can come from nonsense like that. I don't know. I do just think that horror and, like you say, metal as well, it's kind of having that knowledge base where you're like, okay, I've seen a lot of stuff that is a lot worse than this. This is doing really well by this standard.
Totally. I think we'll be having a bit more of a chat about this later on. That's for sure. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah. Okay. Just general question then, Ash. So, what are you playing right now? What are you playing at the moment?
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh,
Woo!
nice. Just released,
Yeah.
isn't it? So, sorry. This podcast is from the future. No, it's just been released. So, yeah. What are your early thoughts?
I'm obsessed with it. I can't stop playing it. I've got like a hyperfixation on it. I get up and I play Dragon's Dogma 2, and then I go to sleep and it's 3 a.m. So it's one of those that's really got its claws in me. And I think it really, being a fan of the first game, of the first Dragon's Dogma, and growing up loving Oblivion, that was my favourite game ever growing up. But all of those like healthy fantasy games like Drakon the Ancient's Gates, Gauntlet, Champions of Norath, Baldur's Gate, Dark Arisen, that was the Dragon's Dogma release. Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance, that was it. All of those, it just feels like all of that again. It just feels like it's like transporting me back to like that nostalgic place, and it's very new Oblivion to me. Like all of the pawns having something to say and loads of silly things happening when that aren't necessarily supposed to happen. Like every time I go to an edge to look over it, one of my pawns will run into the back of me and knock me over and I'll die off the edge of a cliff, which obviously isn't ideal, but it's so funny every time it happens. I'm like, I'll go on then. And because the reload system is really good as well. So if you do die randomly, you do get loaded back very close. So it doesn't really matter that this sort of thing's happening. That you can throw yourself into the sea and then the brine come up and just pull you away and you wake up on the shore knocked out and wet. Always just really, I don't know, there's just so much of it that really makes me laugh. The way that all of the NPCs talk as well, in like the proper sound. Oh, ought to do, fair traveller. What's going on today on hither? It just pops me silly. I just think it's so funny without meaning to be, but it really works in the environment they've set up. I really like it.
Nice. You're selling me on it, as I wasn't sure. I've heard about it, and I haven't really played the first one, so I didn't really know much about it. The second one, really. So, but you mentioned just Oblivion. I mean, that's an immediate sell for me, right? We got to talk about Oblivion, if that's okay.
Yes, we've got to.
Is that okay?
I'll allow it.
Yes. I mean, it turned 18 years old the other day, by the way. Holy crap.
Oh my God, it can drink.
Yeah, it can drink now. Yeah, they can drink some mead and have some sweet rolls. So, yeah. So, I mean, talk about Oblivion memories, please. Please.
Oblivion was... it was important to me. It was very important to me. I played a Khajiit, and I played a Thief Khajiit, and I did the bad missions over and over again, the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood. My favorite level in any game ever is the Dark Brotherhood house, where you have to dress up as a masquerade, go in, kill people off.
Yes.
It's only recently that I've discovered there's also a community of people that absolutely freaking love this level.
Yes.
Like, I keep seeing it pop up on the internet, and I was like, I thought I was special and remembered that.
Yeah.
Everybody is special, okay? But yeah, that was my favorite ever, and I just think it's amazing. Like, I don't even have anything to say. I played it again not too long ago to find some save files, which I had sadly deleted. so I couldn't get back to my original game. But I found some on my dad's account because I'd set up a character on his, and just like running and it being like walking on air because
Yeah.
it was like just so free to move,
Yeah,
and then trying
yeah.
to hit people like ha,
Jumping
gah!
like this.
Yeah, just going up a mountain like slowly, one jump at a time. It's definitely one of those games that shaped me as a person, as it did for so many people. And like my
Yeah.
friends as well were very narrative decision making. So like Mass Effect and Dragon Age, but Oblivion and Skyrim are obviously a massive part of that kind of niche as well. So all of us used to come and tell our stories to each other and what decisions we'd made, and it would be the chosen one, all that sort of thing. Doing the Oblivion gates and just running to the top to grab the stone so that you didn't have to fight anything because it was too hard.
Yeah. Oh,
What are your
man.
Oblivion memories? Tell me about yours.
Well, you mentioned that I finally finally platinumed Oblivion last year.
Wow!
I played Oblivion, and sorry, don't hate me. Please don't leave the podcast. But I played Oblivion about 2008 or 9, and I didn't like it. Please don't leave. But then I got Skyrim on release.
Hovering over this mouse pad now.
And then I got Skyrim. And I was like, I didn't like Oblivion. Ugh, okay, I got it for Christmas present. I was like, all right, fine, I'll play it. And I was like, holy crap, I'm loving this game.
Yeah.
And then I played through all of Skyrim, and then I played the Game of the Year edition of Oblivion afterwards, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I didn't platinum it. I had about like 5 achievements left. And I'm talking about the full that older DLCs. I did like all the base game, and most of the DLCs, but not all the Shimmering Isles. So I had about 5.
I was going to ask, what about the Shivering Isles?
Yeah, that was what was missing. So, and then I abandoned it, and then like I think it was nearly 10 years to the day afterwards last year. So this was 2023. So 2013 it was I played Oblivion properly. I finally started again from the beginning, and I played through all of it and platinumed it, and I loved it. I mean, yeah, it's so good. I mean, that package as well, this with Shegaroff is just, it's so funny and so silly.
That's the whole thing of it, isn't it? It's just this. It's such a unique brand of fantasy that doesn't take itself too seriously, like the old dancing skeleton reanimated boys running around in the dark. Like, I always think reanimated skeletons are my favorite fantasy / horror creation because they're just so silly. It's just someone with no flesh running around jangling their bones together, but also that's terrifying. But like that Oblivion leans into all of those tropes and turns them into its own, and has its own unique dialogue and stupid ways that the NPCs can interact with the world around them and get killed, like that iconic video of the man walking into the trap where the floor comes up to the ceiling, and he's like, I must go, and then turns around and gets destroyed. Oh my god. And I think Dragon's Dogma 2 absolutely has the potential to be like a modern Oblivion from what I've played of it. I've had so many stupid things happen whilst I've been doing it, and because you can cling to big monsters as well, you can climb them. There's so many times where I've climbed like a griffin or tried to fight a harpy, and they pick you up and fly off with you and just drop you somewhere on the map, and you're like, how do I get home? Which is just very funny as well. I think the two have a lot of similar DNA.
Yeah, well, but just that alone was, again, I remember Shegaroff. If you hit Shegaroff, he'll just drop you from the top of the world map and just, which is perfect. But yeah, it's interesting that I need to play this now. You've sold it to me. Like, I need to play this now.
You can play with me because I'm an official pawn in the game as well.
Okay.
There we go. It's that wasn't an offer to play online because I told you I hate it.
Yes.
But the kind people at Capcom put a bunch of content creators in there, and PlayStation Access was one of them. So there's actually like Beastra and Dave as well, which is the best one. The best one from Access is definitely Dave's like Catman. He's so good. But there's a whole bunch of different people in there that are official pawns. I've made mine look like my cat, Toasty.
Oh.
So the one that's accompanying me, she's an abomination. She's so ugly. Not like real life. She's beautiful in real life. But in the game, she looks horrible because it's not built to look like house cats.
No. Okay. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Oh, yeah. No, I've got to play this game now. So, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned all that stuff, though, in terms of like the quirkiness and the jankiness and the silliness, the comedy and all that stuff. The stuff for being funny for the sake of being funny. Like, what are your thoughts on like Elder Scrolls 6 in terms of the fact? Do you think, like, it's interesting you mentioned what you've mentioned there about the the stuff that's funny, unintentionally stuff that's in this game. And I feel like that's where Bethesda don't want to go with Elder Scrolls. I mean, we know very little about it, but I don't think they're going to go down that road. But what are your thoughts?
I think whenever fantasy takes itself very seriously, that's when you can cross into the unintentional funny anyway.
Yeah.
So that I think they'd have to work quite hard to make it not serious. Like the Elder Scrolls by nature are very lore heavy, very serious fantasy games that have a lot behind them. And I think that in itself lends itself to unintentional humor because it's like, oh, the Daedric Prince of Flugamere is here to bless us with his Dance of the Jovial Knights. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I've just pulled a load of stuff out my arse there, but there is like stuff like that in the game where it's very, it does lean into that, and I think that makes it funny. Yes, it being a little buggy also makes it funny, but that obviously would be better to avoid the bugs. It would be better to avoid any bugs. That would be the main thing to take away from Bethesda, but they also are just an intrinsic part of the DNA. I think they're building it in the same engines. There's not really any way it's not going to be a bit funny just from that fact alone.
It's crazy that they're building on the same engine, isn't it? Like
I think that's wild. Like that's such an old
it's
engine.
So old now. Yeah. Well, we just talked about Oblivion being 18, and I don't think that was the same engine, was it? I think it's a Skyrim engine, isn't it?
I think so, but still, Skyrim's like it's had like 5 releases and is still a good 10 or so years old as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, no, it's 12 years old this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh God. Oh God. Okay. Let's not talk about it. So if you were Ash, if you were stuck on a remote island, and with you on that island, you're stuck on that island forever. I'm very sorry. We're all losing, really. I think you'll actually love it with the peace and quiet. But you're stuck on the island forever. You can only bring 3 games with you onto that island. You can access the internet. You can use online. You can do DLCs, all that stuff, right? What would those 3 games be and why?
So do I have access to DLCs that are being made and can come out? So if I were to say an online game, I'd have access to new seasons as well.
Yeah, like World of Warcraft's been going for like 20 years, hasn't it? So yes, if you were hypothetically to choose that, yeah.
I think I would choose World of Warcraft.
Yeah, there we go. I didn't mean to put that into your mouth. Sorry.
Yeah, I've never played World of Warcraft. I've never played it, but I know that it would take over my life if I did. It's a good choice to not go there for me. But I think if I was stuck on an island and had nothing else to do, like World of Warcraft would absolutely take over my life. Or RuneScape. I was big on RuneScape. I used to like RuneScape a lot. I think that still has a bit of an active community as well. So maybe RuneScape for the old time's sake. Yeah. But I think remote island games is so specific because you'd want something that is big and sprawling and uncompletable. Because if I took like What Remains of Edith Finch, I can't be playing that every day endlessly. Yeah. Just the same harrowing stories on and on and on. No, thank you.
Very short, that game as well, isn't it?
Yeah. That ain't coming to the island. That's not coming to the island. So, I think World of Warcraft is a very good shout. And then I would want it to be like a different genre as well. So I'd probably go for some sort of Fallout game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fallout was again because I never really played it, and same. I think putting that on there would. Well, I played enough of it to know that I liked Elder Scrolls a lot more, so it wasn't really my jam. So I think I would go for a Fallout to have the sci-fi kind of vibe and to play something that I hadn't really played before and get a couple of 100 hours out of that at least. And then maybe something like something puzzly. Maybe The Witness, because I would be able to play through the whole game, but then the challenge at the end constantly resets. So you'd always have new stuff to go through with that. So it doesn't have DLC and it's not like endless, but I think I just enjoy a puzzle. So I think I would quite like something where it's a bit of mind business going on.
Okay. What's The Witness? I've never heard of The Witness, I don't think. What's that?
The Witness it's a island that you go to, and it's just full of puzzles. It's just full of these screens that have puzzles with different symbols on, and you've got to figure out what the symbols mean and how they work with not really anything but the environment or the screen in front of you to figure it out with.
Okay.
And it gets more complicated as it goes on, but it's so peaceful, and like it's just a very good. It's like playing Sudoku in the Sunday paper with the springtime coming in through the window. It's just that kind of calming. It's a
Yeah.
cup of green tea. You know what I
Oh,
mean? It's
that sounds good.
it's lovely.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Very different games, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
I think you'll be able to play for hours on them, that's for sure. So I
It's
love it.
quite
Yeah.
funny because I could hate those first two. I could absolutely hate it. I could just be like,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
this is a
it's so
terrible
bad.
choice.
Yeah. Oh no, not World of Warcraft again.
Yeah, why did I bring this? I had never played it before.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but I had someone on a podcast choose a game that had not been released yet. I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
What? They're like, but I know it's going to be good. It's like, but how do you know? I think it was like maybe like last year. It was like Baldur's Gate 3 or something like that. I mean, it's turned out to become one of the biggest games of all
Such
time.
a choice,
But
though.
I might be wrong with that. But it was something like that. You know, it's like that game's coming out. It's going to be. Yeah, I was like, are you sure?
They were right. They were
If it
right.
was that, yeah, they were right. I mean, I've not played it, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
game of the year.
Great,
Everything.
great choice, but it's got like 150 hour of game in like a main campaign. But then you would be able to play it through with different characters, so you would get lots of things. But it's the same story every time, so you would want something. But then that's the same with like a Fallout. What have I done? I don't know. This question stresses me out.
I'm sorry.
Remote islands have lots of different features to them.
I'm sorry. Okay. So, do you have any video game collectibles? I mean, I've got to ask you if you don't mind me asking because I'm speaking to you. You know, do you have any collectibles in general? I have to ask that because I know how much of a horror fan you are. Like, I've got to ask. I'm sorry if you don't mind.
No, of course. I not really is the truth. I
Oh,
actually
okay.
don't. I thought I'd have a fun answer, but I've got like statues from collector's editions if they
Nice.
count.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, well when we've had PR stuff is mainly when I get things. If I buy something for myself, it's usually very silly. Like I have like the Strabby from Fangamer, and stuff like that. But collectibles wise, I think the main thing that I've got is the House of Ashes, like the Dark Pictures game, with the big statue of Pazuzu with
Oh, nice.
Ashley Tisdale walking through in the blood, because The Descent is my favourite film ever, and that being a direct influence on this game and that scene, like I just think it's the most perfect thing. It's I'll show you. Hold on, it's over here.
Okay. Okay.
Ugh.
So I just get. I feel like I have to say because people on Spotify are like, "Where's she gone?" So like, I'm just going to say something. Oh my god, look at that!
But it's like
Oh
this.
wow,
There is
yeah.
the little torch fell off, but I'm going to glue it back on, so ignore that. But that's it's like the
Oh
big
wow,
Pazuzu. But
yeah.
that came with like the collector's edition. So I've got nothing like crazy impressive to show you. I haven't got like Troy Baker's voice box in the cupboard. I wish I did.
That'd be something.
But I've got a lot of different little statuey bits. The Sinking City as well gave us a Cthulhu statue, which I'm very fond of because it looks proper Lovecraftian, like it's all aged and everything.
Yeah.
I've got a zombie shark from dead zombies or something. Four. I've got the zombie shark from that game where you're killing zombies and it's war. Um, and then that's about it. I did take home the Baldur's Gate 3 Collector's Edition box, because I loved the Mind Flayer and all the Dungeons and Dragons references. Alas, PlayStation Access has the statue for that one.
Shame. Shame.
I
But
know.
that's
I was
that's
like,
still
go
really
on,
cool.
let us finish it off. Let me take it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good to say. Okay, so are you like are you someone that plays like mods in video games? Is that something that you've done a lot with, or is that do you play like just the basic, not the basic, but the base game, so to speak?
I'm a base game fan. Just not as a PC player. It basically means you get what you're given.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing Skyrim and Special Edition, where you can
Yes.
enable the mods.
Yes.
But generally, I like playing games as they were made for the most part, because that's what I'm used to, for one. So maybe this will change in the future.
Yeah.
But I also like the idea of, the devs have made something. I want to kind of respect it and play
Yeah.
as it was intended. As much fun as it would be to turn all the dragons into Thomas Tank Engine.
Yeah. No, I get that totally. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I was the same for a long time about mods. Like I've never played a modded Skyrim before. Like everyone's like, "What? You play vanilla Skyrim?" It's like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry." But yeah, like I play some like modded Resident Evil games. I'm so a big Resi fan. So like that's like yeah, it
Yeah.
almost makes it now like I can't play the original anymore because the stuff that they've added into it's like, oh my god. So,
Yeah, that's the thing. You get used to it, you get fed good by mods as well. Like,
yeah,
and it's just I don't know, it's a dangerous road.
it is
The
slippery
only
slope.
The only Resident Evil mod that I've seen was a not safe for work one, let's say, of Carlos, and I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
oh my
Yes,
goodness.
no. I've seen a few Mr. X ones, but not a Carlos one. Okay, we'll steer away from that. So, okay. Well, I've got to ask you, Ash. I mean, what? I know you've mentioned obviously like the future's very exciting, and I can't wait to talk more specifically about that. But you said you have been streaming for nearly a year. What was the decision making involved in that then? And what was it like to hit go live? And what did you do? So no, so talk about that moment and then backwards in terms of like what led to that decision, basically.
I went live the first time on my own. Oh, it was a random Sunday. It was a random Sunday where I'd got all the stuff and I'd kind of half set it up. And I thought, I'm going to do it at the end of the month because then I have some time to think about it and dwell on it. And I posted an Instagram story and I thought, like saying, oh, I'm going to stream at the end of the month, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, you know what? No, I'm not. I'll just do it today because I'm not going to do it unless I just do it. And that's very much like an internal thing, like where I've got to just throw myself into something. Otherwise, I will talk myself out of it as a perfectionist, as like an anxious person. Like, I'm not going to do it if I have time to sit and think about it. So I was like, let's just go. And by this point, I've worked at Access over 2 years. So I've got a lot of experience streaming. It's not something I don't know how to do. It's just I taught myself out of it,
Hmm.
like enough for long enough that I was like, I'll leave it a bit longer. I won't do this. So I just went live. I think I was just chatting the very first one I did, or maybe I played like just a horror game I'm familiar with. It might have been Dead Space actually. That was one of the first things I started streaming, and yeah, it was very weird. It still is. It's very weird every time I click go live. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's been. I did it from April to about September before I got super busy and then focused on Access again, like fully. Not that I wasn't focused on it, just my evenings were too crammed to do anything else. And every time in that period, it was just like every single time because I just thought nobody's going to turn up. They're going to be mean to me. Nobody's going to care. Like, why are you doing this? And then you have to think to yourself, I'm doing it because I want to do it. I'm
Hmm.
doing it because I want to play some games and I want to hang out with a lovely community and my friends and people that like this stuff and chat a bit of nonsense and just do something fun that I want to do. So I think that was the talk around to it. But the build up to that moment and the reason I decided to start streaming was because I love horror games so much, and I was trying a lot to get them featured more on Access, but there wasn't room with all the other coverage we had to do, and I couldn't
Sure.
turn it into just Ash's horror channel like I did at What Culture, where I made my own.
Yeah.
There wasn't the opportunity to do that there, so I thought, you know what, I'll just do it myself. I'll do my own, because then that gives me an outlet for all this stuff that I want to do,
Sure. Yeah.
whilst also being able to keep up my responsibilities for the stuff that are other games as well, whilst at Access. So it was a way of getting the best of both worlds for me, and I'm really glad that I did it. I think for a long time I've not been very confident or had any belief in my skill set. And it's only recently, it's literally only since leaving, I would say, even up until leaving, I was like, "Ooh." So even with streaming, that helped this journey, but it wasn't the inception of it until just recently. But it's only just now, long load of words aside, that I feel like okay, maybe you've got this, maybe you can do this. And it's taken me actually leaving because I had to push myself into an uncomfortable position to go, right, I've got to just do it then, let's go. So
Yeah.
hopefully she just does it
Yeah.
soon.
It's so exciting. Like when I saw the news that you were leaving PlayStation Access and you were going like solo and doing being I'm assuming you're self-employed and you're doing your own thing and all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's a huge plunge, isn't it? Like and not only that,
Mm.
but I mean like it seems to be. It seems everyone's really embraced that. It feels from the outside, But I mean that's and streaming. You've taken it too late to water as well, from what I've seen, and it's. It's just I loved it when I mean I haven't when I saw you last year that you were thinking of streaming. I was like, I had you on my list. I was like, ooh, would love dream guest, maybe, you never know type of thing, because I think, as I said, I've been following what you've been doing for such a long time, and I was like, I think you'll kill it, and you have. It's been so good to see, and for that reason, now that I know the reasons behind that as well, I think that's so cool, because you care so much about horror, and you want to put a lovely spotlight on it. I love that.
That's for sure, definitely. And thank you. That's really kind to say. But like, I had like one single comment in thousands that were very positive. That was like, "Oh, you've done this to like." I don't know. It was just a really weird vibe one where it's like, "Oh, you've used this as a platform to make yourself like to go solo and all this sort of thing." And it's never been the case. It's never been how I felt about it. It's always all my career has been driven by covering things I want to cover and making a living off doing what I love. And that started out as I was a journalist for ages, and then I basically moved into video journalism with What Culture, and then I moved into it again with Access, and that has offered me a platform which is incredibly weird and amazing, but still, it still blows my mind that people listen to me at all and sometimes even enjoy it, you know what I mean? Like it's still very wild to me that all of that is possible, and I think it would be untrue of myself to not go with that and be able to fully capitalize on making something of my own that is all of that enjoyment, all of those things that I want to cover and praise and share. Like that's what I want to do, and I want to take some time to also focus on like voice acting and other creative stuff. I've got loads of creative things in me that I haven't had time to do because I put my whole back into I'm just avoiding the butt analogy. I put my whole back into anything that I do, and it was the same with Access. That wasn't just a 9 to 5. I was doing it all the time. That wasn't them, that was me wanting to do that. I was playing games for it, I was reading stuff for it, I was thinking about it, I was like planning what I could do for the podcast, this, that, or the other, and I just want to be able to do that a little more freely and loosely with my own focus. That's the main thing. How that works and if that works is yet to be seen, but again, I just got to try. So if it doesn't go ahead, I've tried, and I know, and that's the best part of it as well. It's not really any loss here.
But that's what it is, isn't it? You got to try it, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got to, and then there's no regrets either, is there? Because you've tried it, and whereas you regret if you don't. So yeah,
100%. That's the main thing in it. It's just give it a go, right? Give it a go.
Definitely. Oh, exciting. Oh, I love it. So I've got to ask a question again, as someone who knows a lot about horror, and especially horror. We talk about horror movies, but again, horror games. Are you going to be covering much indie horror? Is that something that you're looking at in terms of branching into more? Again, we've talked about obviously a lot of conventional, like horror, like Dead Space and stuff like that, but and Alone in the Dark as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. Some of my favourite stuff, some of my favourite indie horror games, I don't think I've been able to talk about as much. I've because a lot of all of my stuff has been console based as well. It's whatever indie games make it to console, which means they usually have a little bit more behind them because they've got a publisher that's taken them over there. So having the opportunity to do PC stuff is going to be a big chance to go really niche on the indie. But Dredge was that would have been my game of the year if not for Baldur's Gate 3, absolutely. Coming in hot. But I love Dredge and stuff like Mundawn and Saturnalia and all these little narrative horrors that have really inventive, innovative ideas. Like, it's the same with films, like found footage films and indie horrors that come out that are really hard to find unless you go to the festival circuit and then manage to follow up on it on a streaming service 12 months later. Like, I love that part of it. I love finding hidden gems. I love sharing hidden gems and going, watch this, play this. It's amazing. You're going to love it, because there's so many people out there who aren't big horror fans or have very specific tastes or, this, that, or the other. It's really nice to be able to have that little come over here, like, it's really cool, and to be able to do that's what I love. I love being able to like curate stuff. It's like museum work.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I was hoping that would be what you said because again, you did, like you said, you've done that so well for horror movies. You know, like again, a lot of the what culture stuff like that. I found very interesting, very interesting horror films through your work. So again, if you're putting the spotlight on the indie horror, that's amazing because I do live indie horror. And, you know, to have your presence and your influence on that, I think it's going to make indie horror even bigger and better. So you know, that's going to
I
be so
hope
cool.
so. I should say what culture as well, as much as I'm like, hee hee, I love horror and did that channel, like it was absolutely a team effort as well. Like I read a lot of scripts from people as well as writing my own.
Yeah,
There was a good team of people with good brains on that, that all and there still is, you know, that's why it's still going and doing great. Like and I you know, being able to be a part of that was really special. I've been a part of teams all my life, so doing it solo, I'm a bit like, oh, oh no, I guess I'm gonna have to prove myself again to myself this time.
no, you'll smash it. You'll smash it. So you've been streaming. I say you've been streaming for a few, well, ad hoc for a few months. So is that so that you're going to be streaming more moving forward? Then is that the plan?
Yeah, that's the idea. Nothing's nailed down or written in stone yet, because this is my figuring out period. But the idea is that I'll have like a weekly stream schedule and be doing it regularly. When I enter the world of content creation fully, I'm in my what are they called? My chrysalis stage. You know, caterpillars turn to soup when they're in chrysalises and then
Yeah.
they come into butterflies.
Yes.
I'm soup stage right now. I'm souping. But there will be streaming and it will be regular. So it'll be at least once a week. I'm hoping to do 3 times a week because I'd like to try and aim for partner. I like setting myself little goals to be like, what's this? What's this? So I think partner eventually would be a good one
Yeah.
to start off with as well. So we'll do probably 3 times a week and then go from there.
Excellent. Exciting. So in terms of so far, then, what have been like your favorite moments on stream? Anything that comes to mind? Uh,
Oh man, I did a celebration stream for hitting affiliate, and it was just me relentlessly eating pickles and spinning a wheel of which flavor it would be. And I think that was kind of a moment where I was like, man, you can just do anything on a stream if you're creative enough. And you
yeah.
know, I'm not saying that that was creative enough. You know what I mean? I was like, that was like a moment where I was like, oh, I could make this much better. But it was very fun to do, and I really like pickles, so it was a great time. But
Yeah.
there was some of them were very spicy, some of them were very sour.
Yeah.
But it was good to be able to just kind of feel a bit unshackled and unhinged, and do something that way. I also this is not my favorite moment, but it was something that happened that I thought was really funny afterwards. Is that when I was playing Bramble, the Mountain King, another great indie horror. I just wept when I saw a hedgehog because I thought it was so cute. It just actually made me cry because it would like you get to ride on the back of it, and it
Oh.
really got to me. It really really got to me. Oh, so that was one of my favorite game bits that popped up in a stream for sure.
Yeah. Have you had anyone like clip odd moments at all?
Oh yeah, yeah. People love clipping weird stuff for sure.
How did you find that then when you first like? Again, I don't know how much you've been on. Have you been much of a Twitch viewer before streaming? Like, yeah, what did you think?
Rach introduced me to all, which is Don't Rach Quit from What Culture. She and her and Rich as well were big into streaming when I was there. So I've been on her channel and seen how it works through her before. I've never been like a big Twitch watcher up until streaming because I think seeing the other side of it, I was like, okay, I understand everything that goes into it, and you start to watch it as like it's like when you do film studies and you start watching films from the analytical perspective. I think it's
Yeah,
really interesting to see creators making things and what kind of goes into it from their angle. It gave me like a really intense appreciation for everything people put into it, and especially to be full time with it and to be able to continue to entertain people and come up with new ideas. I really like watching it now, having the experience in it. I'm like, oh okay, like I love seeing how people grow and change and adapt and do things that way for sure. I think it's really interesting, as well as just it's nice watching games for
yeah,
sure. But I think a big part of me up until then was like, I'll just play a game, I don't need to watch it. And then found loads of people I like watching play games and was like, oh yeah, this way I have more time to play games I want to play, and then I can watch ones that someone else is playing or see their reactions to the bits that
Yes.
I went through. Find the community of Dark Brotherhood Masquerade Quest people that are all
Yes.
playing through it. The good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. Have you so you chose Twitch as like your streaming home, but did YouTube come into it? I mean, did Kick come into it? Like what did what was it quite an easy choice for you?
I am, as much as I know what to do in very specific circumstances with different bits of technology. I'm very tech stupid. Otherwise, I feel like a boomer when it comes to like knowing things. I just knew that Twitch was where people went to stream.
Yeah.
And even though I was like doing stuff on YouTube, but I figured there was more opportunities to add like emojis and installs, you know, when you
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
things on and they make noise and stuff. Like I think there's a lot more support for that over on Twitch. So I was like, I think this would be a good place to start because then I can get all of this going eventually once I understand it all a bit better and have had more experience with it. Whereas YouTube, I think made me feel a little bit naked because I was like, it's just me in the game. Like I don't know how to do anything else in here.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Definitely. Okay. Which end of the chat? I've only got one question left for you. But
Sure.
which is I know it's gone so fast. Oh, not the microphone. Yeah, I mean, in your case, it's be content creation really, rather than just specifically streamer. But what advice would you give to anyone thinking about going into content creation? Again, with the stuff you've done, like your journalism, your video journalism, your streaming now. Again, taking those plunges that you've taken to go self-employed, which is a huge thing. Like, what advice would you give to anyone that's thinking about making those type of decisions?
Oh, it's the same advice I give to all my friends whenever they come to me with any or ahhing is just do it.
Do
Nike
it.
that business. Like it
It.
actually is it's just about doing it. It's
Yeah.
just about doing it and accepting you'll be bad at it. That's the hardest part. You're gonna suck, and that's the only way that you'll get better. You know what I mean? I was not born a streamer or a writer or anything else. And that's not me saying I'm great at it now, but like I sucked for ages when I was learning and honing my skills. And I still do with a lot of things because I've got so much more to learn. That's the hardest part is putting yourself out there when you're vulnerable. But the real ones will see and respect that and also enjoy the journey of watching you grow as well. So don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel scared about it. Just do what you want to do and make sure you really do it and do it to the best of your ability. And the only thing you can do is grow from there. You know what I mean? You've just got to try it to be able to give it a go. You'll come up with every reason under the sun why you shouldn't or why it'd be better in a week's time or you need this piece of equipment. You don't. You can stream from your PlayStation. You don't need a camera or any setup or anything. You can if you have a PlayStation 5, you can do it with the mic on the DualSense and just go gameplay and set yourself up from there. If you want to make videos, you got a camera on the back of your phone, absolutely fine. I think the other thing that I would say apart from all that is have a perspective as well because that's what makes your content and you unique. Having a perspective, having a take. It doesn't have to be spicy. It doesn't have to be, you know, uh, controversial, but it does have to be yours, and you should be able to back it up with reasoning that comes from, your own thoughts and opinions, and that's really important as well. Whether that is your thing is celebrating all the things that you love and just picking out all the good ones and curating and showcasing, or whether it's doing analytical deep dives and essays, whether it's finding the funniest moments and finding that brand of humor that's yours as well. There's going to be something that is yours. And that comes from being yourself, as dumb as it sounds. The simplest stuff is the most important because it's very easy to forget. Be yourself, just do it. Those are the what I would say.
That's amazing. No, I thank you. I love that. That's fantastic.
Johnny
Um,
Beard, we're just doing it.
we're just doing it. We're just doing it. We're just doing it.
We're
Yeah.
just doing it.
Oh, that was such a lovely chat. Thank you. I don't know where the hour's gone, but yeah.
It's gone so fast. I feel like I've just like ranted at you, but it's sorry.
No, don't apologize. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. So thank you so much for chatting to me. And yeah, one more time. So I mean, yeah, in terms of socials, then I mean, you Ash Millman everywhere. Where can we find you?
Yeah, disappointingly, my handle is just my name. I didn't have any creativity. I thought my thinking on this was I was born with a handle. Why not use it? So
Yes.
that's it. It's just Ash Millman on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. I would say are my main ones. You'll probably find me on some of the places where I've set up a profile for lurking, like TikTok. But those are the ones that I've got that, and YouTube and Twitch are going to be my content homes apart from, like the Instagrammy, Twittery, social short stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully anybody listening to this can see the fruits of that labor in a little while. But for now, they're being set up. So,
Excellent. So exciting.
there we go.
Did you mention your podcast, I think, didn't you?
Podcast was the PlayStation Access podcast. I've
Oh,
spoken about
okay.
that.
Okay.
But I would like to do that eventually. That's on the list of things that I think would be great fun to do.
Yeah.
But right now, it's not my priority. Though I do have some fun ideas, and there is some stuff in the works for an audio drama as well with Hellmouth Pictures on. The topic is like witchcraft and how it affects children. It's quite a deep, nasty topic about kind of witches and children and how these people have been taken advantage of and abused and stuff. So it's quite heavy, but it should be very interesting. And we're working on that and producing that soon as well.
Exciting. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I know a lot of people may not know that you may do or may not know, but everyone follow Ash on Twitch, that's for sure, if you haven't already. And, yeah. Thank you so much.
No worries. Anytime. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, thanks everyone that's been watching and listening. Much love. Take care and goodbye.